All right. So the first question that I want to ask, in the greatness of this show, 6 seasons, that is something that isn't anything to sneeze at. When you first came up with the concept and the idea of the show, did you think that it would have the longevity that it has had now?
Well, we should say we came on after the pilot. Justin Spitzer created the show, and then he brought us on after the pilot to help him run it. But yeah, when we first joined the show, no, I mean, I think with any new show, especially a comedy on broadcast TV, you just don't know if you're going to make it past the initial order. And in fact, our first season, our order was cut back from 13 episodes to 11 episodes. And, you know, the network reassured us that it was a scheduling reason. They didn't have enough slots for what we had. But yeah, you never know. So really, like, especially in the first few seasons, every pickup, we didn't take anything for granted.
Yeah, I mean, definitely from the pilot, we saw that it had the potential. It had a great ensemble and great smart writing, yes. And it was the kind of show that we definitely would watch. That usually means that it doesn't bode well for the show if it's something that I would actually want to watch. But yeah, you just never know. You can't. We've learned by now to not even get too optimistic about shows in the early stages, because you can think you're doing something great and the show can be great, and for whatever reason it just doesn't last.
Now, when it comes to matters such as you said, episodes was cut back at first, you didn't know what the plight of the show was going to be. What would you say during those moments would have been like the best lesson that you have learned as writers in creating of the show?
Well, I would say maybe it was a lesson in learning to be flexible. Like, we had originally had a finale figured out, a season finale for that first season, that we quickly had to kind of scrap and reconfigure because, let's see, I'm trying to remember how it worked. I think we found out when we were shooting episode 10, thinking that we would have 13, but then we quickly learned, no, 10 is going to be the second to last one. So we need to start laying the groundwork for what we're going to do in 11 and know what we're doing in 11. So we're able to
sort of compress everything that we had been talking about for those last few episodes into just one episode. We only get one episode to do it. And that's something we've had to do several times over the run of the show, and sort of be flexible with our storytelling and our long range plans. When, for example, when America left, or when she decided she was going to leave, we had to rewrite or rethink what our plans were for the end of season 5. Because we had a sort of season finale in mind that, yeah, then obviously had to change. We decided to, write her off and move her to California. And then obviously, well, actually 2 times in season 6, we got first had the order reduced from 18 episodes to 15. And then we ended up, obviously the cancellation changed our plans. What we had been talking about for a season finale, we then had to adapt into a series finale. So we've learned that flexibility over the years. You can't take anything for granted.
How would you like the show to be remembered by audiences and its legacy years from now?
I think first and foremost that it's a funny show, but I think it's also I'm proud of the fact that the show has had such diversity of the cast in all ways, background and the body types and age, and which reflects the natural diversity of retail workers, and also proud that we were able to explore some issues that don't really get talked about as much in comedies. The issues that face low wage workers and retail workers in particular. We hope that we've been able to do it in a way that came from character and telling good stories, but also made people think and aware of things they might not have thought of. Sorry, that was kind of rambling, but
I think
clean that up. Clean that up.
That was great.
No,
I think, that I would just echo everything he said. And I think putting the spotlight on a group of people who don't often get represented in TV. I would like our show to be remembered for doing that.
Well, the show has tackled social issues over the course of 6 seasons, especially with this season with a COVID-19 episode. How were you able to keep the message of what was going on in the world and yet keep it lighthearted for the audience?
Well, one thing we've talked about a few times is that we had the benefit of it not being a medical show where you're seeing the worst effects of COVID all the time. So we were able to sort of, keep COVID alive in our season, but in the ways that, we could deal with the comedy or the lighter moments that you find from living through a pandemic rather than actually dying of a pandemic.
Right. Customers' bad behavior and people, freaking out, that side of it. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I think that was a big part of it. And then we just sort of kept, there was one episode that primarily focused on the pandemic at the beginning of the season, but we did see it as sort of the backdrop to our entire season, and even plays into the finale in that, it might have, the store might have been on the road to closing eventually anyway, but COVID has definitely accelerated that for stores and driven more people online to online shopping. So sort of.
Oh, I was going to say we were also able to get comedy from corporate's response to COVID, or lack of response to COVID, which is in keeping with the theme of our show and how the corporate side of things has certain concerns that don't always line up to the actual workers who are there having to do the work day to day, and their concerns are not always about that. So that was another way to get a source of comedy.
So when it comes to customer bad behavior, what exactly is that inspired by? Is it through something that you've witnessed? Is it stories that you've heard?
It can be both, really. Yeah, all of our writers were sort of bringing in their own experiences. Even for something as small as like an interstitial, the little, this isn't bad behavior, but customer behavior affected by COVID. One of our writers had found herself when she was in a store, she was trying to buy a scented candle and was trying to test the scents and realizing that she couldn't really smell through the mask, and just sort of the comedy of like sniffing really hard to try to get any scent through the mask and the difficulty of that. We ended up using that as an interstitial, one of those bits where you just see customers in our episodes. We did that along the way, but I'd say it just comes from being out in the world and what we experience and what you could imagine people doing, because customers are the worst, and we are all customers and we're all the worst when we're in stores.
Yeah. And then some of it we're also seeing the same kind of viral videos of like people going nuts in Walmart that other people are seeing also. So like we don't directly take anything from those, but we see the kinds of things that are realistic to happen.
Right.
Now, do you have a little bit more empathy when you do shop at these big box stores or small mom and pop establishments that is reflective of Cloud9?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, definitely.
We're always, it came at the beginning, I would say there was a certain amount of like looking for story ideas. You're always like, when you're in a story, you're like, what could we make something out of here based on this? But you also definitely start to feel for the people working in stores. You definitely see it more from their perspective than unless you'd worked in a store before. You might not have seen it that way.
Yes, I have. And the redundance of Christmas music at certain times of the year, oh my gosh, it will make you turn into an Ebenezer Scrooge. I don't want to hear that anymore.
Yeah. We had an
little things
where,
like that. Yeah.
Well, gentlemen, like I told the previous cast, and I think my cohorts here agree with me, we absolutely enjoyed the series, enjoyed the storylines, very relatable, an absolutely awesome show. So thank you so much for even bringing this idea to the masses. My mom is a big fan.
Oh, that's great.
Thank her for watching.
Yeah.
Just say hi, Sheila.
Hi, Sheila.
Yes.
My mom's named Sheila too.
Oh my gosh! See, you have beautiful hair. Our mothers are named Sheila. Look, and I have wonderful hair. We are awesome.
You do, yeah.
Well, thank you all again for your support. Thank you.
Thank
Great
you.
talking
Thanks so
to you.
much.
Thank you.